Hey everyone, Luke here with another video. For those of you who are not familiar with our channel, my husband Tyler and I make videos on this channel all about our travels since moving from North America to the UK, and to document our experience of trying to visit every country in Europe before we leave the UK at the end of 2023. Let's see if we can do it. If you watched our last video series, you'll know that we were traveling around France, Luxembourg, and parts of Portugal, specifically the Azores Islands. But now I'm going to catch you up to what we did after all of that. So watch through to the end to learn a bit more about what we did after that experience, as well as maybe getting some UK travel ideas, because this portion of our lives was when we had finished our travels and were doing a bit more of local travel in the UK, closer to where we were living at the time, which was in the West Midlands, specifically the city of Shrewsbury. So if you are interested in UK travel, particularly Midlands, as well as Northern England, even parts of Wales, then be sure to stay tuned through the next series of videos, because we are going to give you lots of great tips about different places that we enjoyed visiting during our time there. From where we last left off, we had just finished visiting the Azores Islands and flew to Toronto to visit Tyler's family. And so we quarantined for 2 weeks, and then we spent a week there just kind of catching up with family and whatnot. So that was a good time to just kind of relax, recharge, before we proceeded back to the UK and then quarantined again for another 14 days in a quarantine apartment hotel type situation. So if you watched our videos of the Eurotrip series, that's what I spent a lot of my time doing, was filming all of those. So that background that I had was in our quarantine apartment. So once we finished quarantine, we started working in Shrewsbury for the NHS, and we enjoyed doing some local travel while we were there. At this point, England was doing what was called the tier system, which means that different regions of England were in different safety zones, and we were living in a tier 2, which allowed us a bit more freedom to travel within the county as well as to other tier 2 or tier 1 counties in England. So we decided that at this time, this was about early December, that we wanted to capitalize on as much local travel as we could, because we knew how tenuous the COVID situation could be at that time, and we knew that travel could be limited at any moment. And in hindsight, we're glad we did, because it was only a few weeks after that we went into full lockdown for quite a few months. So we decided as one of our first places to visit was to go to the city of York, as well as North York Moors National Park. Our first major stop of the morning was to what is called Dalby Forest, which is this really beautiful scenic area to drive around, walk around, explore, with just a really nice forest atmosphere and a really pretty place to spend the morning. However, the main highlight of the day by far was doing what's called the Cleveland Way, which is this nice walking path that takes you along some beautiful cliffs that takes you from the town of Ravenscar to Robin Hood's Bay. We parked our car at what is called the Ravenhall Hotel, put on our wellies, which is an essential item in England if you're going to do walks, especially at this time of year, because the ground gets quite muddy and wet. So we were very glad to have our wellies on, and were greeted by some sheep to start off our hike. Just a beautiful first impression to start our beautiful walk. We just had a wonderful time walking along this path, enjoying some of the beach views, the cliff views, just the beautiful weather and everything involved. It was just an excellent day walking on this path. I cannot recommend it enough. Once we arrived at Robin Hood's Bay, we just loved the atmosphere. There were different food venues there. There was a certain buzz and energy of just people enjoying being outside in this beautiful sunny weather. There were even these two women that were playing really great music on the saxophone and I think on the guitar. And it was just such a cool atmosphere and vibe and ambiance to it. And we had a great experience just watching the water and just people watching, appreciating the atmosphere. Such a great way to finish off this excellent hike. For the way back to Ravenscar, there is a historic railway trail that we had intended to do, but we just knew that based on the time of day, and especially at this time of year where the sun goes down earlier, we were just concerned about how long it would take us to get back, and we didn't want to lose any daylight. So we decided to not do the railway trail, at least this time, and we instead decided to get a taxi to take us back to Ravenscar. Once back in Ravenscar, we got our car and proceeded to the city of Whitby because there was a particular abbey called Whitby Abbey that we wanted to visit, and we wanted to go before sunset, before it closed. We had a really nice walk from the car to get closer to the abbey. The unfortunate thing though is that even though the website said that it closed at 4, it actually only had a last admission at 2:30 p.m., which we had missed. So we did come all this way and find out that we weren't even able to go on the grounds, which was quite disappointing, to be honest with you, and we wished the website was a bit clearer about this. So if you're in the same situation, just do beware that even though they say closing time, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can get in like a half hour or an hour before that. You may need a reservation well in advance. I don't know if this is specifically because of COVID or what, but just something to be aware of. So maybe we'll go again in the future, but even though we didn't, we got some really great distant views of the Abbey. And it is quite a beautiful thing to see even from a distance. And hey, at least we got to experience some of it for free. So no complaints here. The next day, we wanted to explore a bit the city of York. So we were staying at an Airbnb in York, so we checked out of our Airbnb and proceeded to do a nice little riverside walk along the River Ouse. I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation. If you're from York, please let me know in the comments down below how you say your river. But we walked along this river to make our way to more of the city center of York. We then headed to the city center and enjoyed just walking along some of the main streets of the city. And also we enjoyed walking along these beautiful medieval city walls that give you great different vantage points of the city. And in particular, we liked the vantage point that you got of York Minster, which is this beautiful church in the city and should definitely be appreciated and checked out if you are in York. It is to not be missed. We loved walking through lots of the tiny, cute streets that, particularly at this time of year, had a Christmas vibe to them, which was really special, and I love how England decorates its cities and towns during Christmas time. So we just really loved walking around at this time of year in this very historic, beautiful city. We stopped at a pub called Cross Keys, which was apparently known for really good meat pies. And so we enjoyed some of those as well as some warm tea just to warm up. Our last stop in York was to visit York Minster, the cathedral that I mentioned that is absolutely beautiful. It didn't open until 12:30 p.m. and it did require advanced reservations because of COVID. And so we proceeded to do that. Unfortunately, one of the main highlights of York Minster, at least to my knowledge, is the tower. But because of the inability to socially distance in these tiny, narrow corridors and stairwells that take you up to the tower, they did have to close the tower for this time, so we didn't get to experience that. That didn't take away from our experience though, because the cathedral was beautiful inside and out, and we really enjoyed just exploring this immense and very historically significant and architecturally beautiful cathedral. I don't know what it was, but there really is a wonderful sense of history here that you can feel it, it's palpable. This particular church has apparently existed in some form or another for about 1,000 years, which is just mind-boggling to think about. So a really awesome place to visit if you are in this region of England. Do not miss it. All right, everyone, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed exploring this part of England with us, and I hope that you'll tag along with us in some future videos where we experience other parts of England as well. What did you think? Are there particular regions that you really enjoyed and would love to see for yourself? Or maybe are you from this particular area and have other parts that we missed that you would recommend? Let us know in the comments down below. We would love to hear what you guys think. Stay tuned for the next video where we take you to England's beautiful Lake District, which we visited during Christmas time. And honestly, this was such a special time in our lives. We just loved our time here. So I will really enjoy sharing that experience with you, and I hope that you enjoy watching it as well. See you at the next video. Bye.